Hey, everybody, welcome to the Not Move podcast. This is bettors. I'm going to be talking about a little pro baseball today, a little MLB action. We already have some games underway, so I won't be covering those. I used to handicap baseball last season. I've done a lot of shows over on some other platforms, but this is my first show this MLB season. So usually the first thing I like to go over is weather implications. So it looks like rotogrinders.com right here says that the Mets and Orioles game looks like there could be some rain. There is a chance that game does get postponed tonight. There's some other games that looks like it will maybe rain a little bit, but other than that game, everything looks pretty clear. Then I'm also looking at the wind. It doesn't look like there's going to be any games with too much of a impact when it comes to wind. So, but sometimes, yeah, that wind does make a big difference. First game, I was going to go over this Phillies and San Francisco game. I like the Phillies to win this game. They're currently up 1-0 into the second inning. But what I will say is San Francisco is 7-0 on the run line as a home underdog. So if you do like the Phillies, I'm thinking just maybe on the money line there is the way to go, which is what I liked, money line. Anyways, since that game's already in progress, I'm not going to cover that too much. Okay, we got next game up. We got at 5:10 p.m. Eastern time. We have Tampa Bay Rays, Detroit Tigers. Got Littell on the bump for Tampa Bay, going up against Olsen. Starting pitcher for Detroit. Now, Tampa Bay is 5-4. They have a 5-4 record with Littell on the road, and Detroit has a 3-1 record with Olsen at home, starting pitching. Now, I don't believe Olsen has pitched against the Tampa Bay Rays yet this season, but Littell has. And in that game, it was in Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay lost that game 9-3 on 6/22, June 22nd. Littell had 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no home runs allowed, and 5 strikeouts. The Tigers are the hotter team right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're on a 5-game winning streak. Tampa Bay in their last 10 games, they have a 3-7 record. I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. I like to look at runs per game allowed, stolen bases per game allowed, bullpen ERA, team strikeouts per game. And look at my notes here. Tampa Bay is a good base stealing team, but Detroit is good at base stealing prevention. Tampa Bay ranks first in the MLB in stolen bases per game. Detroit ranks third in stolen bases allowed per game. So I think they can minimize the speedy Tampa Bay Rays a little bit here in this game. I do see a lot of slight advantages for Tampa Bay in this game. Um, in regards to runs per game. Now, if you guys wanted to dive even deeper, you could look at Tampa Bay runs per game on the road compared to what Detroit allows at home, vice versa. I just went all around away and home combined for today's show. Um, both of these offenses are really good. Um, Tampa Bay does allow a few more runs per game though than Detroit does. Um, but like I said, Tampa Bay has a slight base stealing advantage. Both of these bullpens are pretty evenly matched. Detroit does have a slightly better bullpen ERA this season, and Tampa Bay strikes out a little bit less than Detroit. Now I've been riding Detroit this whole series, and I'm going to be riding with them again here today. Um, I I do like how Tampa Bay matches up against Olsen a little bit more than Detroit matches up against Littell. And I think one of those reasons is because Carpenter is not in the starting lineup today for Detroit. If Carpenter was in, I would feel a little bit more confident in Detroit. Um, but I would still have to lean Detroit getting this victory here. Now, what I will say is that Detroit, like I said earlier, Olsen is 3-1, or excuse me, the Tigers are 3-1 at home with Olsen this season. They won each of those three games by 5+ runs. Um, Tampa Bay, as we said earlier, Littell is 5-4. Tampa Bay is 5-4 with Littell on the road, and they lost two of those games by 3+ runs. So I think there is a chance, for Detroit to win this game by 3+ runs. If you like Detroit today, and if you're looking to take a stab at them winning by a little bit more than one run, I could see them potentially winning by 3+ runs here. Detroit. All right, moving on. We got the Mets in Baltimore. We already talked about how that rain could get rained out. That game could get rained out. First thing that I'm looking at is their last 10 games here. Baltimore has a slight advantage there. They're 6-4 in their last 10. Mets are 5-5 in their last 10. Now I'm looking at these run line trends. Um, Nothing really sticks out except that Baltimore ranks 28th in the MLB on the run line as a home underdog, which last time I checked, and it looks like they are a home underdog. So if you like the Mets in this game, you have that going for you. Um, Now, what I will say is that the Mets with Peterson on the bump this season, the Mets are 1-7 on the road with Peterson. Um, Sugano, Baltimore is 5-3 at home with him on the bump. So, Baltimore has a better record with their starting pitcher at home this season than the Mets do with their starting pitcher on the road. But I do like the way the Mets bats match up against Sugano more than Baltimore's bats match up against against the Mets. I'm looking at these runs per game. Baltimore allows a lot of runs per game. The Mets are right in the middle of the pack and runs scored per game. Yeah, once again, Baltimore allows, they rank 27th in runs per game allowed. So they're allowing a lot of runs. Baltimore's offense is below average in regards to runs per game this season. And the Mets are above average in limiting runs per game this season. I would say the Mets have a slight base stealing advantage as well. They're really good at prevention. And, Baltimore's right about the middle of the pack in stolen bases per game. The Mets rank 12th in stolen bases per game, and Baltimore ranks 18th in stolen bases allowed per game. So I give the Mets a slight advantage there. The Mets have a better bullpen. They rank 13th in bullpen ERA this season, and the Baltimore ranks 25th. So there's only a handful of teams that have a worse bullpen than Baltimore. Now, excuse me. Um, Team strikeouts per game. The Mets don't strike out a whole lot. They rank eighth in that department. And Baltimore does tend to strike out a lot. They rank 26th in that department. As of right now, I'm going to have to lean towards the Mets getting this game. Although it does worry me with that they're only 1-7 on the road with Peterson this season. It's not something that I feel you know completely comfortable with, but um, I would have to lean towards the Mets getting that victory. Personally, I'm really selective in what I pick. So you'll hear me more times than not say, I'm not extremely confident about this pick, but I do lean towards this team getting the win. If I can find one spot every day, every other day or so, that I really like, then I'm comfortable with that. And I know a lot of you do like parlays and stuff like that, and we can dive into that once we get some people in the chat if you guys are interested in that. But right now I'm just really talking about money line, run line. We might go over a home run prop or two, with this being our first MLB segment on this show. Now, if you're thinking about the run line with the Mets, once again, Baltimore, they're 3-5 on the run line as a home underdog. One moment. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah. So the Mets, if you're looking to take Baltimore today, the Mets did lose five of those games that they were on the road with Peterson. They lost five of those games by 2+ runs, four of those games by 4+ runs. But the one game that the Mets won was by 6 runs. And Baltimore has lost every game with Sugano at home by 3+ runs. Now, sometimes that rain, if the game, if it starts but then gets postponed later on, that could affect that run line. But I would still have to lean towards Mets minus that 1.5. Moving on, we got Seattle and the Yankees. Seattle is the better team in their last 10 games. They're 6-4. The Yankees are 3-7 in their last 10, but they are on a 2-game winning streak. Hmm. Here's something that I do like. If you're thinking about taking the Yankees on the run line today, they rank second in the MLB when they're a home favorite on the run line, and Seattle ranks 29th on the run line in the MLB after a loss. Now, I know a lot of you are probably a little hesitant with the Yankees today with Schlittler. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, Schlittler. It's his MLB debut. I don't really know what he brings to the table. I've never heard of him until today. But it makes me ask myself the question: will the Yankees rally behind this guy in his MLB debut? I somewhat like the Yankees bats and how they match up against the opposing pitcher Evans, specifically Judge, Dominguez, and Chisholm. Those are the three top batters for the Yankees against right-handed pitchers. Judge batting 363, according to the source that I was looking at this morning. What was that? Fangraphs? Batting splits, Fangraphs? Splits leaderboards? Yeah, Judge batting a 363. I know a lot of you like taking home run props on Judge. Now, if I click on Evans here, he does have a fairly high home run per 9 inning rate. 1.4 home runs per 9 inning allowed. So if you like Judge on that home run today, I can't hate on that at all. Let me see. Looks like Judge has 34 home runs this season. 23 of those are off right-handed pitchers, according to Fangraphs.com. Anyways, there are a couple of other home run hitters that I like more today. I'll go over those here in just a bit. But I could definitely see him getting one, right? It's Aaron Judge. Yankees offense is scoring more runs per game. Both of these teams allow about the same amount of runs per game. But the Yankees offense ranks third in baseball in runs per game. Stolen bases per game. I would give Seattle a slight edge here. They rank fifth in stolen bases per game. Yankees rank 16th. Both of their base stealing preventions are about the same. So I'll give Seattle the nod there. Also give Seattle the slight nod when it comes to the bullpen. They rank 10th in bullpen ERA this season. The Yankees rank 19th in that department. Both of these teams tend to strike out a lot. So I think really the big question here is, will the Yankees rally behind this Schlittler for his MLB debut? I gotta think that Judge has the guys fired up, Coach has the guys fired up. And the Yankees will be ready to come out and play some ball tonight. I think I was doing some research earlier, right? How do MLB pitchers usually do in their debuts, right? The first source says that they generally perform well in their debuts, often exceeding the average performance of established starters, but their second starts tend to be less successful. Right? I mean, the guy could struggle. You may know more about him than I do, um, but I gotta believe that the Yankees will at least come out and try to, manufacture some runs to support this guy. All right, moving on. We got the Rockies and the Red Sox. I am a diehard Rockies fan. Sadly, in case you couldn't tell by the hat, but this is going to be a tough game for us tonight. We're 3-7 in our last 10 games. The Red Sox are 8-2 in their last 10. The Red Sox are on a 5-game winning streak. And it's really no surprise that the Rockies have the worst run line record in baseball after a loss and the worst run line record in baseball as a road underdog. Senzatella is the Rockies are 2-6 whenever he's pitching on the road. And they lost all of those games, all 6 of those games by 2+ runs. They lost 4 of those games by 4+ runs. So I think just based on that alone, I feel pretty confident that the Rockies lose this game by 2+ runs, and they could even lose by 4+. I think there was a guy out for the Red Sox today that could have gave them a bigger advantage. Can't remember the guy's name at the top of my head, but I do know that the starting lineups on rotowire.com tells me that Hunter Goodman and Moniak are both out today for the Rockies, which is a huge blow in their chances to win this game, I feel like. Now, Boston with Giolito, they're 4-2 at home when he's on the bump. They won 3 of those games, 3 out of 4 of those games by 2+ runs. 3 divided by 4, 75% chance, just based on that alone, that the Red Sox win this game by 2+ runs if they win the game. And then, 100% chance, right, if the Rockies lose, just based on that previous statistic that we read about Senzatella, 100% chance that they lose by 2+ runs. So, if you like the Red Sox today, I think there's, a good chance that they win by 2+ runs here. And we could talk about some of these other statistics. It comes to no surprise that the Red Sox have a better defense, a better offense. They're better at base stealing prevention. They have a much better bullpen. They strike out a lot, though. But so do the Rockies. Rockies ranked 29th. So there's only one team that strikes out more times per game than the Rockies, and Boston strikes out the 3rd most out of any team. I was a little bit worried about the Red Sox if Goodman and Moniak played today for the Rockies, but I'm seeing that they're out. So I do feel good about the Red Sox winning this game by 2+ runs, and I think there's a decent chance that they could win by 4+. The thing is, is that the Red Sox, I think they've smashed the Rockies of the last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. Are they going to ease up on the gas today? I wouldn't count on it. If I take that L, I'm willing to take that L. So yeah, give me the Red Sox here. All right, Miami and Cincinnati. I think Miami's beat Cincinnati the past couple games, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there's a decent chance that they could do so today. Now, last I saw, Miami, they are the underdog. And I think I like Miami with that plus 1.5 here. Yeah, Miami's won the last couple games against the Reds. And I'll explain why here in a minute. So, Miami is the third best team in baseball after a win in regards to their record on the run line. And Miami's just the hotter team right now. You know, they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Cincinnati's 3-7. Cincinnati's on a 4-game losing streak. Now, I gotta look at the starting lineup here. Starting lineups are pretty much coming out as I'm talking. It wasn't out whenever I last looked, but it looks like it's out now. Let me look at this real quick to see who's in and out for Miami. Okay. Okay. A couple of guys are not playing for Miami today, but I still like them. I think with that plus 1.5. Um, Cincinnati does have a better offense in regards to runs per game scored, and Cincinnati has a better defense in regards to runs per game allowed. Miami, I really wouldn't. I guess I would give Cincinnati a slight base stealing advantage here. Even though Miami does steal more bases per game, uh, Miami allows the most stolen bases per game out of any team in the league. Both of these bullpens are about equal, ranking 20th and 21st in bullpen ERA. Cincinnati barely edging them here. And Miami does strike out less um, than Cincinnati does per game. Miami ranks 12th in that category. Cincinnati ranks 24th. So really what this comes down to for me is just that the Marlins are the hotter team. I don't go over every little detail that I look at. I don't talk about everything that I do research on while I'm on the air. But there are some things that I like about Miami in this game. And really one of those things is that they're just the hotter team. But if you like Cincinnati here, I don't blame you. Um, Alcantara pitched against Cincinnati on 423, and Miami lost that game 5-2. He threw 6 innings. He had 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, a home run allowed, and 4 strikeouts. So, um, and Miami is 3-4 on the road with Alcantara and Abbott. Cincinnati's 5-3 at home with him. Now, Cincinnati won 4 out of 5 of those games by 2+ runs. So once again, if you like Cincinnati here, I don't blame you. Um, but I'm gonna pick the Marlins here. Plus 1.5. Plus 1.5. I would say the game that I feel most confident about right now is going to be that Boston game, just based on what I looked at. But I'm feeling confident about. I think I'm feeling pretty confident about the Kansas City Royals today as well. Let me go look at Pittsburgh real quick. Their lineup. Okay. So Kansas City, they're on a 3-game winning streak. Pittsburgh's on a 5-game losing streak. I like how Kansas City's offense matches up against the left-handed pitcher Falter today. Much more than I like how Pittsburgh matches up against Bubic. I think if Pittsburgh hangs around in this game, they're going to need some production from Bart and or McCutcheon. Both of these offenses are similar, near the bottom of the pack. I know some of you might like to look at what an offense has done in their last 3 games or so, right? Or what an offense does at home compared to what they do on the road. And for future shows, I can have some of that information if you guys want me to. Excuse me. Runs per game. We can just look to see real quick. So their last 3 games, Kansas City's averaging 5.67 runs per game. Pittsburgh averaging 2 runs per game. And when we're looking at Kansas City at home, they score the least amount of runs per game at home. So that's a little concerning. But on the flip side, Pittsburgh scores the least amount of runs per game on the road. Base stealing advantage, I guess I'd give it to Kansas City a little bit. Once again, Pittsburgh is a little bit better at stealing bases per game. But Kansas City ranks first in the MLB in stolen bases per game allowed. Kansas City has the better bullpen ERA. They rank 6th in the MLB. Pittsburgh ranks 12th. And Kansas City strikes out much less than Pittsburgh. There's only one other team that strikes out less than Kansas City per game, and Pittsburgh ranks 23rd, so they're below average in that department. I'm not going to go over like strikeout props and stuff, but I do like to mention like strikeout stuff because I know some of you do like to play those strikeout props. If you do like Bubic for some reason on the strikeouts, I don't even know what the line's at, but some of you do like that. Pittsburgh once again ranks 23rd in team strikeouts per game, so they do strike out more than your average team. Yeah, I feel pretty good about the Royals in this game today. Um, I think there's a better chance than not that the Royals win this game by 2 or more runs. But as we saw last night, there is that chance that they win by 1. It'd be pretty cool to see the Royals get another walk-off victory again. But yeah, I'd have to lean. If we're talking run line here, I'd have to lean towards the Royals -1.5. Then we got the Cubs and the Twins here. The Cubs and Twins. I do. Let me check something. Let me check the starting lineup here. Like I said, some of these starting lineups were not out whenever we started, but they are now. So let me just look at something real quick. Okay. So I do like. I think it's about even here. The offenses, the specific bats that I'm looking at against the starting pitchers, I think it's about even. But if we look at, like, runs per game scored, the Chicago Cubs rank first in baseball in that department. Minnesota ranks 20th. Minnesota also allows slightly more runs per game than Chicago does. I think really what really sells me, as far as which offense is going to be better today. I think what really sells me is that the starting pitcher for Minnesota has a high walk rate, 3.4 walks per 9 innings, and the Cubs rank fourth in team walks per game. That's something that I've done previous shows, like I stated at the start of this show, last baseball season, and that's not a statistic that I brought up a whole lot, but I do think it's important. It's frustrating whenever you're rooting for a team and the uh, your pitcher just keeps on walking guys, putting guys in scoring position, especially if that team is good at base stealing, which the Chicago Cubs are good at base stealing, right? So they rank second in stolen bases per game. Minnesota's below average in stolen bases allowed per game. So if the Twins are walking guys, they could be in some trouble here. Chicago also has a much better bullpen ERA. They rank fifth best in the MLB, um, in regards to bullpen ERA, and Minnesota ranks 22nd. Chicago also strikes out much less. They rank seventh in that department. Team strikeouts per game. Minnesota ranks 16th. I think Minnesota could give the Cubs a run for their money here, but I'm gonna go with the Cubs here. Also, guys, the Cubs. I'm looking at a couple of run line trims for the Cubs right here. One I like, one I dislike. They rank 29th, so they're the second worst team in the league when they're a road underdog. It looks like they're a road underdog today, but they do rank first on the run line after a loss, which they lost to this Twins team yesterday. Minnesota, they're 3-2 at home with Festa on the bump. They lost both of those games by 1 run. So Minnesota hasn't lost by 2+ runs with Festa starting this season when the Twins are at home. I do think this is a tricky spot, man, but I feel okay about the Cubs here. If you guys like the Cubs, I can get behind that. Okay, Washington, St. Louis. Looks like we have 5 more games left on today's slate. Just gonna check on some games real quick to see what's going on here. Phillies up 2-0. Dodgers up 2-1. White Sox beat Toronto 2-1. Cool. So some low scoring games so far today. Okay, so Washington and St. Louis. Um, St. Louis has a slight advantage in their last 10 games, record-wise. They're 5-5. Washington's 4-6. I don't see any run line trends that are eye-popping here. What I will say about the starting pitchers is that Washington is 4-6 on the road with Gore this season, and he pitched in Washington against St. Louis on 5-11 and lost 6-1. He had 6.2 innings pitched, 5 hits allowed, 4 earned runs allowed, 2 home runs allowed, 7 strikeouts. So, the Cardinals have proven that they could beat Washington when they started Gore earlier this season. Now, this game is going to St. Louis tonight. So, if you like St. Louis, you got that going for you. Both of these teams are pretty evenly matched when it comes to runs per game. Washington does allow a good amount of runs per game. They rank 28th in that department. St. Louis ranks 19th. I would give Washington a good base stealing advantage here, but something that's tricky with Washington is they have the worst bullpen ERA in baseball, so it's hard to back them sometimes, unless the situation calls for it. Which, I mean, I could see them getting this win, right? It's baseball, nothing's a guarantee, but just based on some of this information I gathered, I got to lean towards the Cardinals here. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals in this game here. If I had to choose, yeah, sure, Cardinals run line. Wouldn't be surprised to see him win by 1 run. But let's see. Okay, so we mentioned that Gore, starting pitcher for Washington. Washington's 4-6 with Gore on the bump on the road this season. They only lost 2 out of 6 of those games by 2+ runs. So they're losing. Washington's losing a lot of these games by 1 run with Gore on the road. That's why, if well, that's why I'm a little skeptical about St. Louis on the run line. Now, what I will say is that St. Louis has won 3 out of the 4 games that Palante has pitched at home this season. Cardinals are 4-4 at home with Palante, in case I didn't already mention that. So no, sorry guys. Yeah. So St. Louis 4-4. At home with Palante. They won 3 of those games by 2+ runs. So I would more so, I guess I'd feel more confident with, honestly, if we're talking about run line here, I'm going to go with Washington plus the 1.5. There's still some information that I didn't look up, though. Um, I mean, if you're really interested in this game, I can look up this piece of information here, but I don't see anybody in chat. I don't really know how all this works. This podcasting stuff is new to me. But let me check out something real quick here. Um, yeah, give me the Cardinals by 1 run in this game. So I guess I like Washington plus 1.5. All right. Houston Cleveland at Houston tonight. Cleveland's 2-8 in their last 10 games, but they are on a 2-game win streak. Cleveland has a couple of good run line trends going for them. They rank fourth in baseball on the run line after a win, and they rank seventh on the run line as a road underdog. Last time I saw, they were a road underdog, and that's still the case. Looks like some of these starting lineups have just came out. Houston's has dropped. Let me just look over this real quick. I like how Houston's bats match up a little bit more than Cleveland's here. Cleveland is 3-2 on the road this season with Saccone. They've won 2 out of those 3 games by 2+ runs. Houston is 2-0 this season with Walter on the bump. Let me make sure I have that. Let me make sure I have that information right. Something seems off with it. I always got to double check myself because I do look at a lot of information. So sometimes I can, have a typo or something like that. So I'm always double checking myself if I feel like I may have got a statistic wrong here. So yeah, Houston is 2-0 at home with Walter pitching this season. They won one of those games by a run, and they won the other game against the Cubs by 3. Now, Walter pitched at Cleveland earlier this season, and Cleveland won that game 4-2. He had 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs allowed, 1 home run, and 5 strikeouts. Now, when I'm looking at runs per game, Cleveland has struggled this season. They are not a very good offensive team. Houston's right in the middle of the pack. Houston's done a great job at preventing runs. And Cleveland runs per game allowed right in the middle of the pack here. When we're talking about stolen bases, I would say Cleveland has an edge in that department. But last I saw, Walter doesn't have a terrible doesn't walk a lot of people. 0.5 walks per 9 innings, which is low. Somewhat of a relatively low sample size, though, right? He's only pitched, looks like 6 games, so, but he's only walked two batters in those 6 games. So, also Cleveland, they're not one of the top they're not one of the top teams that get walks per game. So even though they have a base stealing advantage here in Houston, Houston is vulnerable to teams stealing bases. If they can limit Houston's base runners, I think they'll do fine. Houston can today. I think they'll do fine. And that's what I expect here. Even though Walter and the Astros lost this matchup at Cleveland on 6-8, they lost 4-2. Houston has the bullpen advantage here. Houston has a very good bullpen ERA. They rank 3rd in MLB. Cleveland ranks 15th in that department. Houston's also a tough team to strike out. Cleveland's right in the middle of the pack. Now, from this game, moving on to the later games, I've had less time to look at some information that I think is valuable. But hopefully that gives some of you, a foundation to work with if you're interested in getting in on that game. So even though Cleveland has those run line trends working for them, I feel better about Houston in this one. Maybe this is another spot where it's a 1-run victory. Could be by Houston. Let me look at one other piece of information real quick. I'm just gonna browse it real quick, not fully dive into it like I did some of these other games. Just want to see something real quick. Yeah. Yeah. I like Houston. All right. Moving on. Texas and the Angels. Texas is they have a 1-5 record on the road with Rocker pitching. And they only won that lone victory by 1 run. So if you like the Angels on the run line tonight, or are they favored? Angels don't look like they're favored. Hold on. I think that line was pretty close last I saw. Um, Texas, yeah. So it looks like the Angels are underdogs in this game. So just based on the fact that, like, if you do like the Angels tonight and you're thinking about taking that plus 1.5, you also have the piece of information that Texas is 1-5 on the road with Rocker starting this season. And that one game that they won, they only won by 1. Now, Rocker did pitch in Texas against the Angels on 4/17, and Texas won that game 5-3. He had 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 0 home runs allowed, 8 strikeouts. Also, the Angels strike out more times per game than any team in the league. I don't know what Rocker's over under is, but if you like his strikeout prop tonight, last time that he faced the Angels, he had 8. I don't specifically like any in the starting lineups aren't out yet for this game, but I think both offenses are pretty even in regards to who they're going up against. The matchup, although Texas has allowed much fewer runs than the Angels have this season per game. Texas ranks first. Yes, first. And runs per game allowed. Angels rank 24th. Angels do have a, slightly better offense in regards to runs per game scored. They rank 18th. Texas ranks 25th. But um home runs, right? I was talking about maybe some home runs earlier. This is a game where I think I liked a couple guys to get a home run in this game, potentially. Adolis Garcia and Simeon. I like to use a website. It's called like Park Factors. Let me get the exact website for you. Statcast Park Factors. It has its own formula on how they decide basically which ballparks are good for right-handed hitters to hit home runs in, and which ballparks are good for lefties. Um, the Angels ballpark, just based on this criteria that I'm looking at on that website, once again, it is baseball. I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's called Statcast Park Factors. I just type in Park Factors MLB in my search engine. It's one of the first things that pops up. And when I filter that, it says that basically, LA Angels is a good place for right-handed hitters to hit home runs. And Kyle Hendricks, who is starting, he's projected to start, pitching for the Angels tonight. He has a high home run rate allowed, so 1.5 home runs allowed per 9 innings. And Garcia and Simeon both have home runs off of him. Also, the Angels have a bad bullpen, so I think those two guys are going to get some opportunities to do that tonight. And if they can't get it done off Hendricks, maybe they'll get a dinger off this poor Angels bullpen. But I think Garcia and Simeon are worth looking at if you guys like home run props. I personally don't like them a whole lot, but I do like to look into those props, for you guys. Those were the two names that kind of stuck out to me. Yeah, and I was thinking about the Athletics against Elder tonight. He gives up a lot of home runs, but there's a little bit less history that the Athletics have against Elder. But he has been more vulnerable to right-handed hitters this year. And once again, I'm speaking about Elder right now, pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. But Atlanta does have a above average bullpen, so I was also thinking, if that Baltimore game doesn't get rained out, maybe some right-handed hitters for the Mets. There's very little to no history that the Mets offensive players have against um, the starting pitcher for Baltimore. But I think it's a good spot for right-handed hitters, specifically against that Baltimore starting pitcher, and Baltimore's bullpen is near the bottom of the league. I think somebody else to look at, and then I'm going to, stay away from the home run hitters. Is and I'm not going to get into all the reasoning on this one, but I think maybe Hayes, Austin Hayes for Cincinnati could get one. Anyways, what game are we on here? Texas and Angels, I believe. It's tough for me to back a team that has a bad bullpen. You know, Texas once again they ranked fourth in bullpen ERA, and the Angels ranked 28th in bullpen ERA this season. I honestly, I don't even feel confident enough to pick um, who I like in this game. I think that I would have to, even though it's tough for me to back teams that have bad bullpen ERAs, even though it's tough. I think taking the Angels here plus 1.5 isn't the worst idea in the world. Specifically, just because Texas is 1-5 on the road with Rocker, like we mentioned earlier, um, and Texas only won that game by 1 run. So if you take Angels plus 1.5 tonight and Texas 7 games that they got that done against the team. So just based on that alone, I think that's probably Diamondbacks and Padres. Two eye-popping run line trends here for that I'm looking at. Arizona ranks 28th on the run line after a loss, so they're bad after a loss on the run line. San Diego ranks 7th on the run line as a home favorite this season. San Diego is 6-2 at home with Cease on the bump. Arizona is 4-5 on the road with Fought on the bump. Now, San Diego won 5 of those games by 2+ runs. Right? They won six. Uh, they're 6-2 at home with Cease. They won 5 of those games by 2+ runs. Something that worries me about Cease is his high walk rate. Also, the Diamondbacks are good at drawing walks, which makes me a little bit more interested in these stolen bases per game, stolen bases allowed per game. And both of these teams, rank 15th in stolen bases per game, Arizona, and stolen bases allowed per game, San Diego. So I think there is some danger if if Arizona can get some men on base. I think there's some danger um, for them to possibly swipe some bags. And it looks like their starting lineup just dropped. Let me look at this real quick. Doesn't look like Naylor's in. I think there's some key guys out for Arizona that made me like San Diego a little bit more. And when we're talking about offense here, though, too, Arizona has a much better offense than San Diego in regards to runs per game scored this season. Now, once again, guys, I haven't filtered it by runs per game scored on the road, runs per game allowed when you're at home. But if you are into that type of stuff, more power to you. And I might do that on future shows. That's what I did on the previous shows last season. So I'll probably start doing that again. But I wanted to, just kind of simplify things with this being the first MLB show on here on this podcast. San Diego has a much better bullpen ERA. So if San Diego were to get down in this game, I feel like just based on Arizona's bullpen ERA, San Diego could maybe claw back, fight back, and win this one. I don't feel confident, in either side in this game. It's really a stay away for me. Really, because of a couple. There's a couple of things that I didn't look into quite yet, and the starting lineup hasn't even dropped for San Diego. But if you're, I think it's pretty evenly matched here. Um, Let me look at something. Um, I'd have to go with San Diego by a run here. One run. So I think it's kind of a coin flip here. I can see it going either way. Um, Now, Arizona lost once again. Arizona's 4-5 on the road with Fought pitching this season, and they lost three of those games by 2+ runs. So what? 60% of the games that they lost with Fought on the road this season was by they lost by 2+ runs. And then Cease once again 6-2 at home. They won five of those games. San Diego did by 2+ runs. So if you do like San Diego on that run line tonight, you got that going for you. Yeah, I really just don't even feel confident enough to really give a pick in this one. I guess give me Arizona. I I don't know. Coin flip. I got to see some starting lineups. I do like the way that San Diego looks like they're going to match up against Fott a little bit more than Arizona's bats against Cease. But last game of the night here, once again, there's some information I haven't looked at for this game, but I'm going to just check real quick to see if there's any starting lineups coming out for this game, and it doesn't look like it. Atlanta is 1-5 on the road with Elder this season. They lost 2 out of 5 of those games by 2+ runs. Atlanta's struggling right now, 2-8 in their last 10 games. They've lost 5 in a row. The Athletics ranked 25th, so they're bad on the run line when they're a road favorite. I think that line was pretty close last I saw. And when we're looking at like runs per game allowed, that all looks pretty even. Stolen bases looks pretty even. I will give Atlanta the huge bullpen advantage here. Um, I don't, I don't know really which way to go on this one either. I still got to look into it a little bit more, but from what I can see, I think I like maybe some runs in this game. I usually don't really cap over unders, but hey, why not? Just give me the over in this one. I suppose. Once again, just not enough information for me to make a quality decision about either of those teams. But um, I think you could, if you like either one of those teams, I don't blame you. I guess give me the hotter athletic team at home. Let me see if I got any other notes here that I wanted to talk about. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off the waves here. What do we got for tomorrow's MLB slate? Let's go check that out real quick. So tomorrow. One moment. Looks like we have a handful of games tomorrow, so um, I'll probably be back on the waves tomorrow for some action. Feel free to send JB a message if you guys have any questions, or shoot me a message. And yeah, all right, everybody. Um, Once again, I think just weather wise, just look out for that. Oh, okay. It looks like it did get postponed, guys. That Mets and Baltimore game. I always like to look at the weather before and after the show because it's very very important here. But it looks like they've canceled that game, postponed that game. Yeah, looks like they're making it up tomorrow. Doubleheader tomorrow with the Mets and Baltimore. All right. Well, thanks for joining the Not Move podcast. Once again, this is Better Bettors. Thank you guys so much. Take care.